everyone, I'm Sonia Keister. First of all, I wanted to say thank you for tuning in, watching this cooking video, and just giving me a chance to share another recipe with you for easy entertaining at home. Today's recipe is all about Valentine's Day, which is just around the corner. And as many of you know, it happens to kind of collide with Super Bowl Sunday weekend, and it's on a Monday. So it might be a difficult one to sneak in there and really celebrate. I'm sure a lot of you are probably looking for kind of easy things that you can do at home but are special. And I feel like this butter poached lobster salad with a creamy herb dressing really hits the mark. So let me show you what we have to make the salad. And as always, there are some do-ahead steps. That way you can kind of pull it all together, not be stressed out. It's a light dish, but it's decadent, so you'll feel like you're doing something special for Valentine's Day, but you'll save room for the good stuff, which to me means chocolate and romance, right? All right, so here's what we have for the whole recipe, and then I'm gonna break it down into really 3 steps. The first step will be making our creamy citrus dressing for the salad. The second step will be butter poaching our lobster and sauteing the corn at the same time. We can do those both at once. And the final step will just be assembling our salad. So for the ingredients, of course, we have lobster for 2. I have 1 lobster tail for each of us, and they are not cooked. You can buy them cooked. You don't want them cooked for this. We're gonna poach them in 1 stick of butter. I'm using unsalted butter. You can control the salt a little bit better that way. For the dressing, we have a citrus herb dressing. So for the herbs, I have tarragon. Tarragon pairs really nicely with seafood, but if you don't want to use tarragon and you want to use something else, that's fine. I also have a little bit of basil. You could do basil and chives if you decided, but I really like the smell of tarragon. Then we're gonna have a shallot, 1 shallot bulb, small, like a medium to small one. Some Dijon mustard, a little bit of mayonnaise, olive oil, salt and pepper, a tiny bit of honey just to kind of emulsify and sweeten it. Then of course the citrus part. So we have a navel orange, and I have a Meyer lemon from a friend's tree, but if I didn't, I would just use the regular lemon. And that's it for the ingredients for the dressing. And then for the salad itself, I have butter lettuce, any kind of lettuce you like. And then I just have a variety of tomatoes, yellow and red, some on the vine, some not. This is what I had left over in my fridge. And then avocado and corn. Really about 1 ear of corn. I bought it, it came this way in these little mini ears, but I think stacked together, it's about 1 ear of fresh corn. And we're gonna cut this off the cob and saute it in just a few minutes. So that's all we got. Let's get started with our dressing. Okay, so our dressing, we just went over the ingredients. Just measurement wise, I don't measure everything out. So I think it's good to kind of approximate, taste, and adjust to however you like things. But just for the sake of getting on the same page, I have about a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise and 1 shallot bulb. I'm going to use about a tablespoon of mustard and about the same of honey. I'm just going to drizzle it right in there. Probably about a 1/4 cup or so of olive oil, just a little bit of salt and pepper, and then a few sprigs of basil and about 2 tablespoons or so of fresh tarragon. When you use fresh herbs versus dried, you can use a little bit more. So if you're using dried for some reason, then you want to scale that back a little bit. So I'm just going to do a close-up. You can watch me add it all. I have a mini food processor here. That would help. You could just do it in a bowl if you wanted to. I also have a microplaner because we are going to use the zest of the orange and then the zest and the juice of the lemon. The lemon will add some acidity to our vinaigrette, therefore making it a vinaigrette. So it's not too sweet from the honey and the rest of it. And then finally, I just have a cutting board and a knife and a container with a funnel so I don't make a mess. But I have one of these little containers for salad dressings. If you're making it ahead, you can do this about a day ahead. Store it in a container, whatever you have, airtight. And then before you use it, just give it a shake. a technical difficulty there. I don't know if you noticed, but I forgot to plug my food processor and then the cord didn't stretch far enough. So I'm sorry about that, but hey, it happens. Hope you got the gist of how to make the dressing. This is that beautiful citrus dressing. It should be a little bit creamy. There should be a good texture to it because of all the shallots and the herbs. So I'm gonna store this in the fridge, and we're already a third of the way done with our Valentine's Day dinner. Next up, we're going to deal with the corn and the lobster at the same time because we'll be over at the stove, and it's not that difficult to do them both. With the corn, I'll just show you in a minute how I cut them off the cob. And really, we're just gonna saute them in a skillet with a little olive oil and salt and pepper until they're just tender. It should only take 3 to 4 minutes. If it's fresh corn, it really doesn't take very long. You could also use frozen but defrosted corn. And then the other thing we're gonna do is our lobster. So for this, we just need some like good kitchen shears. I'll show you how you cut them down the belly side of it and gently remove the lobster meat from the shell. I know that working with lobster can be intimidating because it's so expensive and you don't want to mess it up, but I really love this poaching method because it's easy. I've done them in the oven where they've gotten a little dried out before. With the butter poaching, you're actually infusing flavor and some moisture into the lobster meat as it's cooking. It takes about 5 to 6 minutes, and that's it. And you can remove them and you can store them in the fridge. So this is a do-ahead step as well. Real quick, for the butter, we already talked about 1 stick of unsalted. You want to choose a pan where you can kind of nestle both of your lobster in there, but they're going to get immersed in the butter. So you don't want a really wide pan. You're not trying to saute, you're trying to poach, which is you let your butter not boil, but poach in a just under, like more of a simmer. It's not bubbling up, it's not boiling. Once the butter's just kind of melted but warm, that's when you stick your lobster meat in and you cook it for, again, 5 to 6 minutes. Everything's gonna turn a beautiful pink color, and then you remove it from the poaching liquid and then put it on a plate or whatever you're gonna store it in, wrap it and put it in the fridge until you're ready to serve it. The toughest part about cooking lobster is getting that raw meat out of the shell. I really had a heck of a time this time. Sometimes it goes a little easier. I cut it down the belly, and then the key is really just take your time and gently extract it from the shell. Mine were frozen and then thawed. So when they're fresh, sometimes they're a little bit easier. But anyhow, I got them out in one piece, and we're gonna move over to the stove now, and I'm gonna poach these in the butter. So I'm gonna melt the butter first and then add these into the melted butter. At the same time, I'm gonna saute the corn. And then we'll meet back here and just assemble our salad. Was that 5 to 6 minutes on the stove? You saw it turn pink, and you want it to lose the opaque look, but you don't want it to get rubbery, so there is a fine line there. So we're ready to assemble our Valentine's Day dinner. What I have a bowl of just, this is one serving. So you want to be generous with the lettuce because this is your dinner. I have, it's washed and torn into bite-sized pieces. Now the trick with the salad, I have a plate, is that you want to dress the lettuce first and then start putting the other toppings on top of it. And then because the lobster's the star of this dish, you can either chop it up and put it around the plate, but I like the presentation of the lobster tail right on top. Another good addition, and I've done this sometimes, is pancetta, or if you happen to have some extra crab lying around, a little crab thrown in there too, delicious. So I'm just going to use a little bit of our creamy citrus tarragon basil dressing and pour it right over the lettuce. You don't want to overdress it. You can always add more or put some on the side. Just a little bit. Think of it like a Caesar dressing. It's nice and thick. It should cling to the lettuce, but you don't want to overdo it. So you just pass that around like so. Pile it right in the middle of your plate. Smells so good. I can smell the herbs coming right off the dressing and a little bit of that orange note from the zest. Okay, so nice and piled high. And then a little bit of our fresh corn just around the plate, over the lettuce. I did put this in the fridge to chill while I was getting everything else pulled together. And then I just have avocado and tomato. Slice a couple up, the tomatoes for a little zing and for some color, and then the avocado for creaminess. This is really all you need for a wonderful Valentine's Day dinner. I would pair this with a first course. While you're doing this, you could sip on some champagne and have a cheese and fruit course, like a Mount Tam, a nice creamy cheese with pear or apple and maybe a few nuts. That's really all you need. Of course, you know, like I said, save room for that chocolate dessert, whatever that might look like for you. Maybe a chocolate molten cake, maybe some store-bought truffles. Okay. Avocado. And then our lobster tail right on top. I'm going to give it a hit of pepper. That's it. Let me give you a close-up of what this looks like. Butter poached lobster salad with a creamy citrus dressing. All you need for this Valentine's Day. So thanks again for tuning in, and join me for another lesson on cooking and entertaining at home with some do-ahead planning and prep steps next time.